evening, everybody. I don't know if you heard that little scratching noise going on just as we started there. That's because Millie has just come back from a walk and she was scratching around my workroom trying to find a way out, because I kind of barricaded myself in tonight. I can actually close this up now because she'll go downstairs. Well, I had my two little trolleys either side of me ready and raring to go, and then she came pitter-patter around the floor because I've got like a hard floor. Good evening, everybody. I'm sure some of you have just joined from Abigail's Facebook Live with her 12-day deal, and of course she got the Liberty fabrics, which is actually what I'm using tonight. And I was cutting this out earlier ready, and I actually messaged her and I said, what are you doing for your deal 12? So your day 6 of your wheel deal, 12-day deal. Sorry, I can't say that very well. And she said, well, actually, funny enough, I'm going to do Liberty fat quarters. And I said, really? I said, because that's what I'm using. Because I got every single of the fabrics. I got half a metre. Oh, I've got sanitizer gel on my fabric. Be nice and clean. Yeah, so I got half a metre of all of the new fabrics from Liberty, well, 2 or 3 months ago now. And yeah, they've been sitting there, and I thought, this would be the absolute perfect project for Christmas fabrics. Because one of the things I said to you, and I don't know if you read the blurb in the pattern description of the pattern when I said to you, think about seasonal fabrics, because obviously, you could make these as gifts for somebody for Christmas. This is so economical to make. I mean, I can't even remember how much the tissues were. Probably, let's say, a couple of pound. So that's about what, $2.50. And then the fabric was, well, a fat quarter would easily make the whole thing if you wanted the lining the same as the outer. So so if you think about it, that's actually quite an affordable make, and they look really nice. You put a nice big bow on because I think it looks absolutely gorgeous with a bow. You don't have to, it's purely optional. This one you can just slip on and off, but you could sort of hot glue it on and make it a feature if you wanted to. It's got the poppers, so obviously you're going to be able to open up the poppers and slip it off, or actually just pull it off, I think, from the top, whatever suits. But I was saying to Jackie earlier on that Jackie designed this, by the way, not me. I'm purely just the demonstrator. But I was saying to Jackie earlier on, this would be super in Halloween fabric. Well, of course, she'd made one in Halloween fabric, which was absolutely gorgeous. So, of course, I hope that she will post pictures of that in the Making It Monday group, because it looks fab. And I think, you know what, I called it Florence because I was thinking of Florence Nightingale, because you might have a cold, you might have some sniffles, you might need a little tissue there just to, dab your nose. I'll just get rid of that. So they really are a very useful make, and of course, any time of the year would be great, but you could actually adjust the fabric according to the season. So I think this is, I'm sorry, but this looks a little bit autumnal. So you could start thinking about the seasons of the year, maybe start thinking about, the holiday times, Halloween, maybe fireworks. I don't know, maybe somebody has a bit of a sniffy nose on fireworks, their birthdays, Easter, Valentine's. So I think this could be really quite a nice little make for those sort of occasions, and you get the fabrics obviously to go with that. But there we are, that's just my imagination going off on random there. The other thing somebody said to me, now I took a picture of this, so I'm going to find it, because somebody said, now I knew I wouldn't remember her name. Now let's have a quick look. It was from Sandy Harris. Said earlier, oh, brilliant make, I love it. My head's filling it with chocolates when it's empty. And I said, yeah, but it doesn't have a bottom, Sandy, because there's the tissue box there. And she said, no, the tissue box. How genius is that? So keep the tissue box in there when it's empty, fill it with chocolates or cookies or whatever you feel like. I mean, it's deliberate. The design is that it doesn't have a bottom, but why not keep the box in there? Sandy, pure genius. I love it. I was never going to steal it. It was always your idea. So let's just come up my photos because I want to get back to the live, because I want to just keep an eye on things there. So there isn't much fabric to this at all, and funnily enough, one of the other things I said was that you could get the pattern, download it, save it in capital letters underlined. If you don't save it, you will lose it after 30 days. That's nothing to do with me, it's to do with the website. It's just an automatic thing, and actually a lot of digital sites do that, so it's not something that I've instilled, it's just automatic. So yes, so get the pattern, download it, save it somewhere safe, okay, because I haven't got enough time in the day to send you out replica patterns. Now up to this moment in time, just before I came live, we'd already people would had 500 downloads, so 500 people had downloaded the pattern. And if you can imagine, if half of those people forgot to save it, cannot, it's only just me, I cannot send those out to you again. So do save them, especially you could put them on a hard drive, that would be super. So yes, so what I was going to say was, this particular pattern, I'm pointing at my laptop, not that you can see it, but my laptop is just here, and my printer, which is over there, has decided, no, I'm not going to be doing printing today. Today is a day off from printing. I'm not doing printing. Who am I to argue? So fortunately, Florence is a pattern you can read off the screen. So I've actually got Florence on my laptop, and I can actually show you what it looks like, because really it comes up a lot bigger than an A4. So all of the pictures, I'm going to try and show you this. I wonder how successful I will be if I can lift up my laptop. It's quite a big old laptop. Let me show you. I wonder if you can see it. Can you see it? So if I, hold on. If I scroll, hold on, let me see if I can get my mouse on the screen. Oh, where are you, mousey? I wonder if I can do it that way. I'm not very good with, I've lost my mouse. Hold on. There it is. Right. So look, oh, it's gone a bit dark now. You can see, look, I can scroll up that pattern. This is as good as it gets. You probably can't read a thing on there, but it gives you all the measurements. It gives you, look, the pictures become a lot bigger. I know I've got a big laptop, but it's a lot clearer to actually read off. And there's no pattern pieces, so I can just read off my computer. Let's put it down without destroying everything. And the writing is lovely and big, which, you know what, we all need that help. Right, okay. So it says on here everything that you need. You just need 2 pieces of fabric. I'm using Liberty. This is the gold. Oh, do you know what? I had the word in my head of what this is called. This is actually a very, I'm going to say common. Liberty do a lot of this design and lots of this design in lots and lots of different colours. Is it Wiltshire? Anyway, it's the gold, and it's their latest Christmas range. And then I've got the candles one. I have no idea what it's called, but it's the candles one. I love it. And actually, you think when you first look at it that it's directional. It kind of is, because the candles go top and bottom, but they alternate, so the little candle light alternates top and bottom. You'll have a look at it obviously as we make it along. So let's just have a quick look at some words and pictures on here. So let's see who's watching. We've got some YouTubers as well, which is lovely, and I'll say hello to you. I can't see any of the names. I had this trouble the other day. We've got Sheila from Mexico. We've got Linda watching, and Meryl. And we've also got Monica as well, and Jeeta's watching, Patricia. We've got Abigail watching as well. Hi, Abby. So let's just have a quick look and see if I can pick this up on YouTube. Who knows if I can, I have no idea. I struggle with YouTube more than I ever do with Facebook. It's not going to let me see. It's not going to let me see. So, oh no, it does let me see. here we go. We've got Karen and Sandra and Kath and Nicola. Well done, guys. We've got Chrissy, we've got Nita. Gosh, we've got lots of people on YouTube. That's amazing. And all told, we've got 315 people watching, so I better get started, otherwise you'll start telling me off. So this is what we're going to make. This is Florence. It's the Mim Pattern 39. Don't forget to head to LizzyCurtis.com, go to the shop, look for Mim Patterns, and it's under there. If you want to know all the whys and wherefores of all the super deals that you can get by downloading this pattern, please, please, please head to the Making It Monday Facebook page, because once you're in that, it's a private group because we got spammed by ridiculous people. So once you're in the group, it's fine. Go to announcements, go to frequently asked questions, and everything that you want to know about Making It Monday projects is there. I think that's all I need to tell you. So let's get started. I'm going to go quite a bit on the overhead. Do you like the new set? I think we've had it this way before. We spent all weekend sorting it out for you. I think the lighting is a little bit better. You'll have to let me know because you're the ones that are looking at it, not me. So we're going to start with actually doing it right from the beginning. I'll just quickly set myself up for the next one. So here we go. We've got the two pieces of fabric. I think I might have this for the outer and I might have the candles for the lining, okay? I think that's how I want it. I mean, this is, can you see it's got a beautiful sheen on it? So if we follow the pattern, and like I said, I'm going to follow it on my let me just get the words in. I'm going to follow it on my screen. So the first thing we need to do, now I've had a little think about this, as you do. I'm going to, do you know, I'm a little bit zoomed in, aren't I? I wonder if I can just zoom out just a wee bit. You can never tell if it's going to be zoomed in or out. Let me just try and do this without jiggling the camera. That's a little bit better. Okay, so yes, I've had a little thought about this. It doesn't say this in the pattern, but what I'd like you to do is on the bottom, so if you've got directional fabric, it's the bottom. I want you to get your iron and fold over 1/4 of an inch and make yourself a lovely crease fold on the bottom edge, okay? So this is not in the pattern. This is not in the pattern. So I'm just going to pop my iron on. I'm going to put it on like a medium heat. And this is what we're going to do. So both of those pieces. So fortunately, this fabric really isn't directional. So I'm just going to pick one of the long sides and I'm just going to turn over 1/4 of an inch. And it all will become clear a little bit further along as we get there. Now look, don't measure this. Just go with your gut about what you think 1/4 of an inch is. All right, I don't want you to measure this. If you do measure it, that's fine. It's whatever you're comfortable with. So there's our first one ironed. And this is the second. Oh, Millie's starting to bark. She probably wants to play with John. I don't know if there's football on. She won't have much luck if there's football on. 1/4 of an inch, like I said, just run your iron along and just make that crease. And that is your bottom edge. Okay, that's your bottom edge. So you can ignore that now. Just pretend we haven't done that, because what we're going to do is we're going to do right sides together. So that's your short sides. Let me just get a little bit of room here so you can see. So your short sides come together, right sides together, okay, like this. And we're going to stitch from top to bottom. And I'm looking at my pattern on my laptop and making sure I follow this correctly, because this is Jackie's pattern. Aren't we lucky? Thank you so much, Jackie. Yeah, it's really super, nice and easy as well. So of course you can pin it, and in the pattern I've pinned it in 3 places along here. When we come to the bottom edge here, you know where we've just pressed it? We'll open that up flat, so you've got a nice seam. But what you've done is that you've given it a little bit of memory for later, because we're going to stitch these edges together later. All right, so I'm going to be good, and I'll just pin this. You know it'll last all of 5 seconds. If you find me a little bit too chatty and too slow, then please wait till after the live and watch the recording, and then you can mute me and fast forward me. Right, so I'm going to put both of these pieces under the machine, and I'm going to stitch from top to bottom with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'll put you on needle cam. Let's see if needle cam is going to be kind to us. Oh yes, there we are. See me at the front, see me at the side. So 1/4 inch seam allowance, do a little back stitch just to hold, and there we go. Regular stitch length 2.5 is fine, and just come all the way down. And once we've stitched these, we need to make sure that it's going to fit over our box. Now I've bought a pretty bog standard box of Kleenex tissues. I'll show you when I get to that point. I decided not to go for a cheaper own brand. The only reason for that is because I wanted it to be standard, and I figured in my head that Kleenex would be standard. If you want me to measure it, just say. So we're just coming down the other side. Can you see okay? Everything okay for you? Or do you want me to, no, that's the wrong way. Come that way. Oh well, yeah, I think we're fine. I think we're fine. Any more will be off the table. So don't forget, where we made those creases on the bottom, you're to open those up so they're flat. You have to forget that you've creased them. So if I show that to the camera, there we go. So I stitched all the way along. This is the edge with my crease. You can see the crease mark, but I've stitched it flat. I haven't stitched the fold up. Okay, so I've done that both sides. So let's go to the front camera, because this is where I've got to take my tissues out of here. There we go. I only bought the 1 box. Otherwise I would have kept those in, okay? And obviously you can undo your poppers. I've just kind of gone for a quick exit. Now, it doesn't matter which one you choose, but choose one of them. And all I want you to do is pop it over the box to make sure it fits. So, do you want me to measure this? Let me get my tape measure. Here we go. Obviously the measurements of the fabric is pretty standard to this, but I'll let you know. I'm going to do it in inches. So I wonder if it's centimetres is better. Yeah, it's 11 centimetres, and that's just under 4.5 inches. Is it the same all the way around? No, it's not. So it's 11 centimetres by 10 centimetres, which is just a little under 4 inches. And the height doesn't matter. So 11 by 10 centimetres, that makes sense. Just under 4.5, just under 4. They're obviously going metric, aren't they? And yet we stick, don't we? With stitching, we stick to imperial, don't we? Strange. Or we do both. I'll say stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but do it as about 1 mil smaller. So, well, I think we're kind of used to it, aren't we? Anyway, put one of your tubes over the box and make sure it fits. It doesn't want to be super, super tight. It doesn't want to be super, super loose. It wants to be a bit like Baby Bear. Wants to be just right. You can see, look, that is just right. I suppose if I pick it up, it might come off, but once you've got 2 layers of fabric on there, it'll grip a little bit better, okay? So I'm happy with that. I'm not going to adjust. If you needed to, you've got the seam there that you could take in, let out. I mean, I'm sure an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance would be fine if your box of tissues is a little bit smaller, or a little bit bigger, I should say. But try and get a box of tissues that's that size, 11 by 10, because it just makes life easy, doesn't it? And I didn't know if own brand, you know, your supermarket brands or your cheapy brands would be the same. And I didn't have my tape measure with me. And of course the other thing is they're half the price, so you might want to go for an own brand, especially if you're going to make loads. So I could probably pop that back on again just so it looks pretty. You wait, I'm going to make a right mess of it now. You can, like I said, you can undo the poppers, but the poppers, or I'm going to talk to you about what else you can do, is there just to sort of nip the top in so it looks pretty. Isn't it lovely? I do love it. It's quite Christmassy actually, isn't it? I'm thinking autumnal, but actually I think it's quite Christmassy. Right, okay, so let's have a look. So we've fitted the tube onto the box. We're okay with that. So the next thing is to sew the tubes right sides together. So we can turn one of them, it doesn't matter which one. So don't forget, the bottom edges are the ones that you put the crease on. Okay, so you've got a crease here, so that's your bottom edge there. You've got a crease on this one as well. I don't know if you'll see that as well, and that's on the bottom edge as well. So we're going to put those right sides together, and you're going to match the seams up. So I just kind of grab one, put my hand in, nest the seams if you want to, might as well. Pop a pin in, be good. Let's pop you on the overhead and then you'll be able to see a little bit better. There we go. So, and you see those are my creased bottoms. There's my seam. I've nested the seam with the other piece, and you see. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is snuggle those two pieces together. So what I do is I put a pin in here, put my hand in there and just pull that, and then everything should sit really neatly together. I will pin because I'm trying to be good. So just bring your right sides together and just give it a little pull just to make sure that you haven't got any lumps and bumps anywhere. And there we are, we've got all our layers neatly pinned together. Okay, it's almost identical to the photo, isn't it? So now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch all the way around. We're going to turn through, press the seam open and top stitch, but we'll do that bit one at a time. We'll go to the needle cam first so you can see, and I'm going to stitch, I should have moved that camera a little bit, there we go, that's a bit better. So obviously if you've got a free arm here, you can slip it under your free arm and it will, lovely, it's like a trouser leg, it'll just go round. I don't have a free arm, so I just put my needle in the middle, in the centre, and go round that way. Okay, so if I lift that up, you can see I go on the inside. Don't always do that, the top stitching I won't. So, and if you put the heads of your pins facing out, then as you come to them, can you see the little head of my pin there? As you come to them, you can just pull that out, and it's much, much easier, especially if you're stitching it this way. So just try and keep your edges together. Come all the way around. I knew I'd remove those pins before. I just find everything like that interferes with what I'm doing. So just come all the way around and keep those seams nested if you can. Doesn't matter. Goodness me. You have to keep remembering what you're making. This is not going to the Queen's garden party, this is to gift to your best friend. So if your seams don't nest, we're not going to panic, are we? So there's my two pieces stitched together, so I'm going to turn that through and press. What are these pins? Now these are new. I wonder if I've got the box handy, because there were two sorts. Sorry, I'm not on the right camera just at the moment. Oh, here they are. Oh, I don't suppose they've got a label on them. Somebody might be able to tell me. Just bear with. Let me put you on the overhead camera. Isn't it typical they don't put their brand name on the box? But I saw these being advertised as, you can get two sorts. You can get really super thin ones. Let me put it down. Can you see if I put it down? I don't know, because that's better. Look how small that is. But it's a regular size quilting pin. So if I put my flower head next to it, that you can see. Okay, sorry, it's a little bit small. Yeah, so you can get two sorts. You can get regular, which is what these are, and you can get super fine. And the super fine ones I think I might get next. And I think I was a bit worried with the super fine ones. I wouldn't be able to go through thick fabrics with them. But I don't know, I think I'd like to try them. These are the regular ones. They don't seem as sharp as my quilting pins. These flower head ones are always so super sharp, but I quite like them in as much they're different, aren't they? And they're thin, they feel nice. Why not? If I can remember the name, if I look up my Amazon order, because obviously everything in my life comes from Amazon, I'll let you all know what they are, because they are different, aren't they? Nice little case as well. Right, okay, so I'm just thinking, Kleenex, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Right, anyway, sorry. So this is our piece that we've just stitched. I was just doubting myself as to the brand of my tissues. I put my iron on medium. You don't really don't need these irons on too hot. Really, medium is absolutely fine. Oh, hello, Kathy from Cornwall. Hi, Karen, and Patricia as well. Nita from Missouri. How lovely, Missouri. Oh my gosh, we all know what happens in Missouri. You can iron over the head without damaging. Do we know what they're called? Has anybody said? Magic pins. Magic pins, that's it. But the brand, what's the brand? I suppose you can find them under magic pins, can't you? I thought, well, you know, I'll give them a go. I'm up for giving them a go. So now we've got our two pieces stitched together. We're just going to iron that seam nice and flat. So just go round your piece, make sure your iron is not too hot. I've had issues with hot irons recently. I'm not even going to tell you the story. Oh, the embarrassment. It wasn't my fault. Knowing full well it was my fault, but you know, I'm trying to pass the buck. Right. So now we've opened up the seam. So what we've done is we've opened up our fabric, and it shows you on there's a picture on the pattern that looks just like this. And then what we're going to do, what did we just decide? This was going to be the outside, this was going to be the lining, I think. I don't know. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's not pontificate. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lining inside, give a little wriggle, and just bring my seam up to the top. Okay, so this is the top that we're looking at now, and just finger press it so it's all lovely and neat all the way around. And so you can see easily, if you treated yourself to any of Abigail's Liberty fabrics, they were 25% off, fat quarters, then and that's Avid Crafts. I know that's upside down. Let me turn it. It's Avid Crafts. Then you can easily see that a fat quarter will... Well, you see, if you get a fat quarter, you can make two, can't you? Because if you get two, you know, contrast, like I've got, these two are both Liberty, the latest design. So look, we've pressed that beautifully now. So now we're going to top stitch. Taylor Seville. Taylor Seville. That's the name of the pins. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to top stitch my tube. So where we just ironed that beautifully. I'm just going to top stitch about 1/8 of an inch all the way around, probably less. And then what we're going to do is, remember this folded end that we did? Well, now it comes into its own because we put the folded edges together and we top stitch those, but I'll show you on the overhead cam. So let's just go to the needle cam again. There we go. And just bring in the machine. Let's just shift it a bit so it's easier for you to see. Again, if you've got a free arm, obviously you can thread this onto your free arm. Now this is where I do the opposite to what I said, because I want to see the best side. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't make a lot of difference with this because you're actually going to see both sides anyway. I've started right in the centre, but I only do 1 stitch as a back stitch, and really you don't need to do that, especially with top stitching. Just go all the way around, and then when you come back to where you started, go over your stitches by 2 stitches maybe. Oh, what's this? I'm Sandra from Kent. Oh, hi Sandra. I think you're saying hello to Diane, aren't you? On my screen I can see all your comments, but they are in the darkest blue. I don't know why. And so I can't see the names at all. But I can see I've got it on my phone, so you're top stitching all the way around. I hope if you're making this with me, you're keeping up. I like to go at a speed where you can keep up with me. It's nice if you stitch along. And then I get the pleasure of, when I go into the Making It Monday Facebook page, of seeing these made within 5 minutes of me finishing the live. So there's the top, beautifully top stitched, and that seam there, that goes into the corner of your box. So you really don't see the seam at all. And we'll see that as we go along. So if I just turn this around, I'll keep you on this view here. So this is now the bottom. Okay, so where we just top stitched was the top. So now what we've got are 2 edges, 2 raw edges, but we've folded them over already, and we're going to top stitch these together. And because we've folded it over, look how beautiful that looks without any struggling. So I'm going to just stitch those down. Now obviously you match the seam up in the corner, so you know both layers are sitting on top of each other nicely, and then you can, obviously you're going to pin or clip this together, but I think as I'm already on the needle cam, I might as well just keep going. And like I said, you've already made the folds, so just go with your folds, pin them together if you want to. Let's just try and do this while I'm sort of this way around. So can you see how they look? They look great, don't they? So now just top stitch. So I'll keep those pinched together because that was perfect, and pop it under your machine. And again, we're doing an 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch. You really don't want a big seam. Certainly you're governed by the 1/4 inch because that's what you pressed. So if you go any bigger than that, well, you'll have your raw edges will fall out. But this is where you could use a nice decorative stitch, especially because these are like Christmas fabrics. You could find a beautiful embroidery stitch and embroider all the way around with your embroidery stitch. It would look gorgeous. Or you could add some beautiful ribbon or rickrack, or some sort of trim in some way. Maybe you've got something really special in your stash that you've been waiting to use. Well, why not use it on this, especially if you're going to be gifting this to somebody that's maybe a little bit poorly, that needs a box of tissues. And I love, was it Sandy? I've forgotten already. I love Sandy's idea of filling the empty tissue box with chocolates. In fact, why don't we just take the tissues out and fill it with chocolates? Hold on a minute, that's a plan. I think I quite like that idea. Actually, you know what? You could decoupage the box. I think you can buy like MDF tissue boxes, can't you? But they might be a bit bigger. But you could use all the tissues and decoupage it with some beautiful papers and then fill it with cookies or chocolate. So this is the seam we've just done. Yeah, you can make it in curtain fabric. Oh my gosh, that would be so amazing. Or if you've got some patchwork left over, maybe, I think it's, is it our Elaine that's making hexagons at the moment, hand stitching hexagons. So she could make that into the most amazing, amazing tissue box cover. Fill it with potpourri. You see, all these ideas. Oh, I think you're all amazing. Right, so let's just go back to the front again. I love it when I say that. Let's go back to the front. Sorry, I'll try and be sensible. So using my other mouse, let's have a quick look. So the next thing, what we've done is we've done the stitching at the bottom. We've put the two raw edges together. We had them folded already, and we've stitched the folded edges together. And now both ends are beautifully neat, and we've got a tube. Now we have to do the actual bit for the poppers, which actually is my favourite bit. So we're going to fit the cover over the cube, and we're going to pinch the corners in. So once again, I have to remove my lovely creation, and I want my clips. I only want 4, so let's get 4 clips. I shall want my measure, and I shall want my heat erasable pen. Let's hope this one works. And what we're going to do is just make sure that, obviously if it's directional fabric, you'll know which is top or bottom, but make sure that you put this the right way round. I think this is the right way, to be honest, because it's not directional, it doesn't matter. So just make sure it fits. Now put your seam, remember I talked to you about the seam, my seam is just there, you're not going to be able to see it, but I'm going to put my seam right in that corner. Let's just oof it round. Right, so that seam is now sitting right there. I don't know if you can see it. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pinch these in, because we want to know, we want to kind of square it up. I mean, it's not a crucial thing to do, but it's nice to get it right. So all I want you to do is to pinch it. You're pinching both layers. I'm putting my finger in there. I'm not going to pinch my finger, but I'm making sure that the fabric is pushed together. So there's one, can you see? And then I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of pulling that, making sure that's parallel with that. Putting my finger in, putting a clip in. I'm doing the same again. You can see it comes up really nicely. Putting my finger in and putting a clip in. And then the last one, like that. And that's just your rough guide. So can you see what that looks like? It looks a little bit like a cracker, doesn't it? So now what we're going to do now is take this off the box, and we're going to press these creases in. So every crease that we've done, we're going to press, then we're going to measure for where the poppers go. All right, so we'll go on the overhead. You can see me doing some pressing. So let's get that in there. Lovely. So let me put the box there so you can see what it looks like. Again, a medium setting, don't go overboard with your heat. And you can see that every sort of corner I've pinched in. That's all I've done, I've just pinched it in. So we're going to take the box out. This box has been in and out that many times, so that's what it looks like when it's out. So it looks like it's had one sherry too many. Right, so what I'm going to do, we know this is the top, because this is the clips we've just done. We know that's where the box goes, because that's a big bit. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that bit that I pinched, kind of square it up, pop it on the side, yep, and then I'm just going to crease it. Okay, I'm just creasing it with my iron. I'm going to do the same on all 4 corners. This is something maybe when you've made a few of these, because I know you're going to make a lot of these, that once you've made a few, you'll trust yourself without having to do the ironing. Okay, you might think, actually, I can see that line, I can visualize it, I know what I'm doing, I don't need to iron, which is absolutely fine. So now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to be really brave and take my clips away, because I've got all my crease lines in. Okay, can you see all my crease? Lovely. I'll take my mat away. And now what we need, I'm just letting the fabric cool down because I'm going to use my heat erasable. And let me just check my pattern just to make sure the next bit I get right. Yeah, 2.5, I thought it was. So get your crease so it's flat on the table. So this is my crease. You're going 2.5 inches down from the top and 1/2 inch in. Okay, so if I put this on here, and there's a picture of this in the pattern, I'm pointing there because that's where my laptop is. So 1, 2, 2.5, and this line is my 1/2 inch. So put a little dot. You can hardly see it, but there's a dot. Let me just switch my iron off. And then flip it over, whichever way is comfortable for you. So I'm going 2.5 inches from the top this time. So there's my 1, 2, 2.5, 1/2 inch in, but obviously you want your dot here. And when you open that up, that should be around about the same line, if you like, and it's 1 inch apart. So if I bring that up, I'm not sure if you can see it. Oops, sorry for whizzing around like that, but there are 2 dots. I'm not sure you can see. I can make them bigger. Let's make them really super big. We're going to put poppers on there. Is that better? I'm hoping it is. So then all we need to do is work all the way around. So 2.5, 2 inches in, do yourself a dot, flip it over, 2.5, you're getting the idea now. I'm truly not going to say this 8 times. And when you fold these like this, make sure that your edges, your top edge is parallel, so they're sitting right on top of each other. If your pieces look like that, for instance, your dots aren't going to be right and your box won't fold up correctly. So get your edges parallel on top of each other. So 2.5, dot. The other thing you can do, this is one of your kind of options, and I said this in the pattern, is that you could do buttonholes. So if you're really good with your buttonhole foot, then do buttonholes here, just 2 little buttonholes, one here and one here. Well, you'd have to do 8 altogether. And then you can thread a ribbon through, you know, or you could use grommets. I nearly did use grommets, but then I thought, I think more of you would have the poppers. So I thought, right, no, let's stick with poppers, because I think my thought process was that you would have more poppers, or more of you would have poppers. So, oops, let's just pop that little dot in there. Right, so now we've got 8 dots. And now comes my favourite bit ever, is making the holes. And now look, if you haven't got one of these, now this is a silicone mat from a Sizzix die cutting machine, which I had, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe, and it's absolutely perfect for making holes. The only reason why I've got actual holes in here is because somebody, and I'm not going to name names, but it was somebody on TV, changed the top to the medium one. It could even be the big one, and they went zzz, 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 until they actually went through my piece of silicone, right? Which, you know, it's a bit sad, but I still keep using it. And actually, is this a whole piece? Because I did have one where I cut one in half. But it is just a silicone mat. So I would say use an old chopping board. You know, this tool is a screw punch tool, and you can find them on Amazon. Okay, they're just a regular screw punch tool. This is the one that I got from work, from Crafter's Companion, but you can get them anywhere, and it's called the screw punch tool. So we're going to make holes in all of those where those 8 dots are. I'm putting my mat inside, protecting my new worktop, and I'm protecting the other side of my fabric, and I'm literally going to work my way around. You just need one push down. Okay, one push down. You don't need to keep going at it. We've only got 2 layers of fabric. We haven't even got any wadding. But even with wadding, I'd say you only need one push down. We don't want to put holes in this. It's too precious. This is like treasure, this mat. I've had it so long. It's very battle worn from using the screw punch tool. And if you can look at it, it's absolutely riddled with tiny little holes. The ones that you can see through is nothing to do with me, okay? And then the great thing about this is when this tip here gets full of all the pieces of fabric, they fall out of this little slot here. They fall out like a little worm. Yeah, they're quite fun if you like little worms. Right, so that's the holes made. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put some poppers on. Now, these are actually snap fasteners, they're called. You can get them from cam snaps. I also, mine obviously not these, but some have come from Crafter's Companion. So you choose what you like. So I'm thinking this colour, because this is like a bronze. I want you to, what do you think? If I pop it in the hole, it might stay. Yeah, that's quite nice. I don't really want to go for a white. I think that would be too stark. Not that we're going to see it when we put a ribbon around. Oh, I quite like the white. No, I'm going to go with the bronzy goldy colour, I think. Anyway, so what I do is I get loads out. I get as many out as I can muster. So I pull everything out of the little compartment. Let me bring it forward, you can see. Because I don't want to keep diving in. I don't want to keep diving in. I just want to get out as many as I need, which is always loads. So let's put the white one back. Okay, so the tool that you use is this. The button goes in that silver dish just there, and then you clamp it down. Now I do 2 hands, you might be able to do it with 1 hand, whatever floats your boat. There shouldn't be any problems about doing this whatsoever. If you find it too hard, then get your other half to do it if you've got another other half. But there's no need to struggle. And once you've scrunched it, so you've flattened the little spiky bit, if it hasn't flattened enough, go in again and crunch it again. Okay, it won't hurt. So all of the buttons are going to go on the outside. This is going to be my right side. So all of the buttons go on the right side. And the inside, you need a stud and a socket. It doesn't matter which way round you do it, as long as so you got the 2 there. Look, you can have 1 there, inch apart. This one can be the stud, this one is the socket. So you need a pair on each inch. Does that make sense? So what we'll do is we'll pop the other one in. Now, one little trick to these is that when you, let's just get it through the hole. When you bring the little spike out, can you just see that spike there? So I've got my stud here. I want a socket, so look for a socket, pop it over the top, okay, and then push it down with your thumbnails. Push it down and that'll hold it. Look, I haven't scrunched it yet, but that's holding those 2 buttons quite fast. I mean, this one may move when I squeeze this one. We'll see, I don't know. Just go with it. So what I'm going to do now is pop my layers between my tool, and the button goes in the silver bit, like I said before. You might need to wriggle your fabric along to get it all in, and then just make sure that button is sitting in the dish. Just turn it around and make sure that button is sitting in that dish, because if you don't, oh, it's just such a nuisance. what you'll have to do is get the pliers out and rip it out, and then that squidged that point down flat. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, that's what you want to try and aim for. If you don't have this correctly set into the dish, so the button, like I said, goes into that dish, you might push the point over to the side. If that happens, you won't be able to close your popper, I promise. So just make sure it's in the dish by just wriggling it around, and then give it a squidge. And I'm going because sometimes you have to give it a bit of welly. Now that one's gone slightly over to the side, I want you to see, but that should be okay to close with this one here. So those are the pair. So that's the stud and that's the socket. Other people call them male and female. I don't like that. I like stud and socket. And they should still press together fine. And if they don't the first time, they will the second time. So just give them a little bit of welly to give it a push. There we are. It's fine. And like I said, if you think that you haven't pressed this enough, there's no reason why you can't go in a second time. Let's do it. Make sure that button is still on the silver dish, and give it another squidge, and give it a squidge, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so that's just one done. So there's our buttons there. So let's carry on. So this is going to be a little bit boring, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue with the stud socket arrangement. Okay, so the first one I do is the stud. The second one I do will be the socket. So I'll just make it look pretty, so it's both the same. Nobody's going to really care except me. Just make sure that's sitting in the dish. Give it a squidge. That's absolute perfection. Okay. If you're not successful with these, you must practice. There's no magic trick. You just practice and you work at it until you get it right. So let me just make sure I'm getting the right one. I always double check. Guess why? Because it has gone wrong in the past where I haven't concentrated. So get that button in the dish, give it a little wriggle, make sure it's in there. Squidge it, use your table to push against, and again, a perfect popper. So let's just carry on. The other thing is, if you haven't squidged it enough, it definitely won't, they won't push together, they won't snap together. If you find when you've done these and they're very tight, really tight, that only happens on the first one or two times that you pull it apart or push it together. It then becomes easier. Okay, it then becomes easier. I don't know, the plastic must move, and there's nothing to be frightened of. So there's my stud. So now we need a socket, and if you push it down with your nails, it stays there. I don't have to support it. It's not loose, so it gives me time to get my fabric in the correct position without losing the button, and give it a squidge. And like I say, if, for instance, you don't think you've squeezed that enough, I think that would be fine. Yeah, that's fine. Then you can go in again and squidge it again. So I think we're absolutely fine. I do love these. I do love these. Who's going to make them? Who's going to make? Come on, I need to know who is going to make them. Who are you going to make them for? What fabric are you going to use? How many are you going to make? Are you going to use them for fundraising? Are you going to sell them for, not only charity, but charity begins at home, so maybe you're going to make them to raise funds for you. There's no reason why you can't make a load, give them to your local school, your local church. They're only going to cost you £2 or £3, I suppose, to make. But you could use recycled fabrics, couldn't you? You don't have to use beautiful new fabrics. recycled fabrics are a fab. I make tons of stuff from charity shop finds. So there's our box now, and we've got all our poppers on. So all 8 poppers are on. Looks really cool. So what we can do is we can pop these together, and that gives us the shape. So just pop them together, and this is where you put, you know, you cross your fingers and hope that you've done your socket and your stud okay. If, for instance, you haven't, then somebody said that you can get a remover, a stud remover, a snap remover. Now, I've never seen that. So, you know, if you can, brilliant. But I just use a pair of pliers and, you know, give it a squidge and break the stud and socket. There we go. So that's our tissue box covered. So let's finish it off. I've got a lovely bit of fabric, a lovely bit of ribbon, a lovely bit of ribbon that I can tie around to make it pretty. So let's have a look. Christmas, it'd be great as Christmas decor over any empty box. Totally. I still love the idea of filling them with chocolates, but that's just me. Right, so I'm just having a think, maybe about there. I love ribbon, so if I'm doing a bow, it's going to be a massive bow. You don't have to pull this tight. It can be just loosely wound round the box, and obviously I pinch that close so you can see, but obviously we want to open it up. Pull the tissue out. Can you see? You can just see the candle fabric, but the gold is rather sumptuous, isn't it? So not too tight. You don't need to squidge it, because that makes the top here smaller. So let's have a look. I might have to adjust it. One moment. I thought I was being clever, doing it towards you, but that's not clever at all, especially when you fail miserably. Oh my word. What do you reckon? Isn't it lovely? I love them so much. Something that's going to be a really easy make. I mean, I took my time this evening. You know I always do for you, so you can stitch along with me. And you know what? There'll be some people that will have made 2 by now. And that's absolutely fine. And I think that is definitely the way to go, because there's no point pacing yourself with me if you're a competent sewer and you can sew more quickly than I show you. But I deliberately go at a slow speed so everybody can keep up. So if you watch this, not live, so this is live every Monday at 7 p.m. on Facebook, Lizzy Curtis Facebook and Lizzy Curtis YouTube. And today is the 16th of August. So if you're watching this any other time, obviously this is not live, and you can mute me and you can fast forward me. Now, don't forget on YouTube to subscribe and hit the bell button, because then you'll get notified when I go live next Monday. And that's actually quite an easier thing to do than hope that you can find the live. Thank you very much, Jackie Thomas. Somebody's just reminded me in here. Thank you very much, Jackie Thomas, for allowing me to demonstrate your pattern. Like I say, we had well over 500 downloads before I came to wear. We've been here exactly an hour, so I would imagine there's been at least another 50, 60, perhaps 70 gone. And by the end of the week, it's usually about 1,200 downloads get sent all around the world. Isn't that exciting? I love it. Thank you so much. Let's have a quick hello and goodbye to Leanna. I've seen Leanna before. Rosemary, thank you, Rosemary. I've got your pattern in the bag as well. Don't you worry about that. Margaret and Kathy and Sandra and Charmaine from South Africa. Charmaine, what time is it there? South Africa. Are you ahead of us? I think you might be. And Myra as well. And Nita and Sandra. Sandra says she I guess I'll need to change the shape of my hangy boxes now. Yes, Sandra. You need the squares. Now Jackie Thomas says, in my original I used 1/4 inch grommets and threaded ribbon through, and you can do buttonholes instead. Ribbon through, and then you can really draw it up or have it loose. Yeah, I just love the variations. And think about adding lace along the top here. Think about, you know, you might have some really special ribbon or lace that you can attach to that, and make sure on the bottom as well that you balance it out by putting some on the bottom. In fact, if you've got a really deep lace, wouldn't that look awesome along there? And I mean, if you've got only a little piece, just do the bit that sits at the front. That's what I would do. Right. And there's some Lucy as well. She just bought some Christmas fabric. I just happened to use Christmas fabric this week, Lucy. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Mary from North Carolina, thank you very much. And also, let me just have a quick look on my Facebook. We've got... if I go down the list here, gosh, wow, there's so many comments. Thank you. Oh, we've got Bridget and Rachel, thank you, and Jane, and Shadar, and Vicky, and Margaret as well. We've got Sylvia and Darcy. I love that name, Darcy. And Diana too. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back next week on Making It Monday, number 40. Maybe it should be something to do with rubies. I'm up for that. I'm sure I could fit a ruby in my life somewhere. Maybe we'll have to call it Ruby, whatever it is. Yeah, I've got a bit of a plan going on in my head now. Right, okay. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next week. And also, if you're one of my supporters, I'll see you tomorrow night at 7, because I'm doing a live with you in my supporters group at 7. I'll see my gold members on Thursday night. But I'll see all of you again next Monday. Bye, everybody. Bye.